Don't spoil that.
Okay.
Welcome to the show. We are very happy because we just had some exciting discussions about future episodes, which you will absolutely love. But for now, we have some interesting things to talk about. And before we get to this week's topic, I think it would be useful or instructive if we went over some of the creative things that we have learned, some of the things we've done, some of the media we've consumed, anything that kind of scratches that itch. Because that's why we're all here, right? We're here to talk about creativity and what makes life enjoyable.
I thought you meant scratching itches. We were here to...
One might say that could be considered a creative endeavor. I'll start. We as in Carissa and I, have been watching The Gilded Age. Have any of you seen The Gilded Age?
Love
What
shows.
TV thing is the channel?
This show is on HBO Max.
Okay.
It was created by Julian Fellows, who is the creator of Downton Abbey, and it covers a time frame of post-Civil War United States as it was going through this huge economic industrial boom. And it kind of gives an alternative perspective where Downton Abbey, if you're familiar with it, shows the servants and housefolk of these big
elite
1920s
houses.
elite English families. And The Gilded Age is kind of an Americanized version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it focuses on the social elites that live upstairs and then the house people that live downstairs.
But then also the new money that came in and how the old money frowns on the new money.
Oh, okay.
So even though they're equal in like finances,
Right.
opulence, they look
You didn't get
down.
your money from your great-great-grandfather,
Yep.
you peasant.
And so you're not allowed in my house, and we
Yeah.
don't go to your parties, and we don't frequent the same opera houses, even though we have the same amount of money, and you might actually be richer than I am.
Right.
But it's about their roots.
Intriguing.
It's about
Yeah.
where they came from.
And all these upstarts are creating these huge economic mega companies by focusing things on like the railroad, to build a railroad from the East Coast to the West Coast. So these things that we take for granted now, but at that point they were these trendsetters. But one of the reasons I really enjoy the show is they managed to create dialogue and situations and discourse between the characters that is both wildly entertaining and also incredibly mundane and boring. But it makes for just such a pleasant viewing experience. This show does not rely on any kind of extremes of any kind.
Pleasant as in like I can just like zone out and watch it, or pleasant as in it's intriguing and I like the puzzles it gives me. Like
Kind of both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like at some point, if you take a step back from an episode and watch it, it's like, why am I so interested to see if this guy can make a clock that works?
Because I feel like when you watch shows, sometimes if your brain doesn't have enough to figure out, that's just like a zone out show, like Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Like we can do another thing while watching Gilmore Girls, right? It's a comfy show.
I think this lends to our discussion about the like how we like to banter.
Yeah.
I think they're showing absolutely nothing going on but everyday life, but the way they talk. Like this whole scene was
I'm
8
intrigued.
minutes. This whole scene was 8 minutes of the servant bringing tea. And that's all that happened in the scene was the rich people sitting around the table, the servant bringing the tea, but the one lady who's the head of the household but lost her money, so now her underling sister is over her because she has the money. Oh, she's just snarking the whole time and biting at everybody in her superiority, and that's all that happened. But the writing and the
writing's
banter
really
is
good.
Is it also
good.
the filming and the
Yes, and if anyone, if
music?
HBO is renowned for just
Yes.
exquisite costuming,
Yes.
set design,
Fabulous.
and there's very little CG slop in this show. It is extremely
It's
elaborate
unnecessary, yes.
physical sets that just look absolutely beautiful. And it makes you want to live back then
Yeah.
until you realize they probably didn't have air conditioning and they didn't
There's
have things
19
like Diet
layers of
Pepsi.
clothes.
And so you're like, maybe not. But
Diet
the
Pepsi.
way it's all framed, it's beautiful.
Yes.
It looks incredible.
Yeah.
Cool.
Extremely well written. Highly recommend it. Gilded Age. There's only one episode in the first season that tiptoes
like-
into what one might associate with an HBO show.
Spicy.
Oh, okay.
But other than that,
it's
almost
Like clean and
Pretty good.
Yeah.
whole family could watch. Kids would immediately get bored.
Yes.
But that's probably a good thing because then they'd leave.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, The Gilded Age, highly recommended. Carissa, how about you?
Do you guys have creative projects that are always brewing in the background?
Yes.
Yeah.
Stuff that you love to do, but it gets
Mhm.
easily set aside when you're
It's
in the middle of
to-do list, but
Yeah.
to-do
creating a
list.
show, and then
Uh-huh.
it's like that goes on the back burner.
Yeah.
Scrapbooking is that for me. And it is so, like, it is a goal of mine every year for Christmas that my family all gets a scrapbook for Christmas. It's a big deal to me.
That's
really,
amazing.
really
It's
cool.
so fun. I'm consistently 2 years behind, but I'm staying 2 years
You gotta
behind.
keep it a
That's
project.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah.
and those kids know that those scrapbooks come every year for Christmas, and they love looking
Kids
at
love it.
them. They love
They
looking
love
at
it,
them, and
yes.
I'm not super good. I'm trying to be better at the journaling aspect of it, but like I'll come wake my kids up in the morning, and their little scrapbooks are on the floor by their bed, like they went to sleep looking at them. So I'm like, I know
That's a
they
mom win.
appreciate them. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's why I do it. And my mom did it for me, so I love it. And I don't think I'm super good at it,
Done is fun.
but
Yeah.
it's exactly
Done is fun. B+ work all the way.
And something so fun about putting stickers and layers on a page, and
You don't have to convince
Right?
at all.
I
No.
also have to say I've never heard of anybody gifting scrapbooks. Like I love that. Like usually people make scrapbooks for themselves in their own little collection. Like
Yeah.
I love the idea that
it's
you're
for the
making
babies.
that, you're
That's
creating
really
that
cool
for kids.
motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
very motivational. I'm like, oh, I have to, and I have to stay 2 years. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you gotta keep going.
It helps me have a deadline,
Uh-huh.
which I work really good under deadlines.
Mhm.
But summertime is because I know that it's chaos in most other seasons. Summer is I got to jump on that scrapbooking train because this
there's also
is the
something about the
chance to get a
sunshine
big of
that
it.
makes you be like, okay, let's pull out all the supplies.
Oh my gosh. And sometimes, like, because I just do it electronically, I can do it on my computer.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I'm
night.
like itching to get outside, I'll go sit in the shade
Mhm.
with it in my lap, even though I can hardly see because of the sun, and do a little bit of it. But then I go cozy in my dark room.
Yeah.
Or like Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
Just sit and do it.
I love that.
And then I'm a reminiscer. Pictures make him sad. Old videos make him sad. I just want to settle into that
Uh-huh.
stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, look at my baby as a 4-year-old. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that's so cute. I could do that all day long.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like reliving. I'm just so
Yes.
happy while I do it. Oh, I love
love
it. So that's
how
where I'm at
much
right
you
now.
loved it. That's way cool to know. She's
I
really
love
good.
Very
I love
good
it.
at it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm good, but I have learned ways to be more efficient, and I get
But it's something you need.
I get a high off
Yes.
of being efficient at stuff that used
Uh-huh.
to take me longer. So there's a part of it that's
You're
like,
growing in skill
look
as
how much
well.
quicker I do this now. Look at how I copy and
In a
pasted
few
an old
years, you may
scrap.
only be a year behind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's
that's
so
way cool.
satisfying. Anyway,
Okay.
that's where I'm at. I'm in the middle of that right now. I've only made it to May.
You got this.
Also, I appreciate the
Figure
fact
it
she
out.
does this all electronically because the old school method with all of the extra cardstock
Big
and everything
fat
result
books.
in these massive tomes that
Yes.
weigh 80
But
pounds.
you gotta
each.
love those. There's something about holding a
They're
chunky book full.
handcrafted.
Yes. I get a serious high holding someone's like journal or scrapbook that's just all curated by them. It's a piece
Oh.
of art.
It is.
It really is.
It
and
really
it's so
is.
personal. You feel like you're holding a piece of them. There's something really cool about that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that until I have to move them for time,
Mm.
which we
Yeah,
did a few
they're
weeks
so
ago.
Fair enough.
heavy.
Fair enough.
It's like we're storing all these. Yes.
All right, Amanda, what have you been up
Okay,
to?
speaking of digital, I can't show the camera this because I'm under contractual obligation to not share anything, but I can show you guys.
Mm.
I was
Uh-huh.
hired to do, first of all, a cover for a quad. So this is a custom quad that the permission to print it, obviously. And then we did the end sheet. So I finished the cover a while ago, but then she wanted to do the same design on the end sheets, and so I'm gonna show you guys. So the
So
quad,
it's a graphic design kind of like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the realm.
so the
we're in.
quad will be stamped. So this is the design that I'm going to show you is gold foil, and it will be. Brianne's already seen
That's
this.
so incredible.
Oh my
So
goodness.
It's the plan of salvation. I can say that, but it kind of shows you through that process. So that's just the gold foil part, and then the end sheet. Oh, I'm so proud of the end sheet. This is one of those moments where like your taste and your
Oh.
abilities align.
It's like
It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's so amazing.
Yeah. And then it'll have small labels. We've already done that. You don't see, but it kind of walks you through the process. So when you open your scriptures, you see this, which I think is so cool because it's like art, but also this is so like every major religion has certain images that like are iconic, and
Means
this is
something
one of
special.
ours. And this means a lot to me because you know this like growing up when you're super
Yes.
little. So, anyways, this goes into production this fall. It should be available around Christmas time. And so, anyways, I'm
It's
like,
beautiful.
I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked because this is what I've been working on.
We have a son going on a mission around Christmas.
Yes, teaching tool. Would you
I
like to
sure
learn?
wish we could show this to you.
It's
But we
In a
cannot.
few episodes, we'll be able to do the reveal.
We'll
But,
return.
Yes.
So make
Oh
sure
my
to come
gosh,
back
stunning.
because
Yeah.
you need to see this.
I'm super stoked about it.
I'm sorry to tell you that Amanda is probably better at this than you. So this will set a good goal for you to work on.
I was telling Brienne though, like my illustration journey, I'm not an artist by trade. It was like, this is all self-taught stuff.
Mm.
And like, I was telling her that like, as a person, I've always had taste. Like that's something I've always had. I know what I like and I know what looks good and I know how to like, but my ability has something that I've been working on and growing and growing. And this is one of the few projects I've had that I feel like my taste and my ability have come emerged and aligned. So that was an exciting moment for me. I was like,
Yes.
oh, I like this. I would want something like this. So
The validation of
yes,
I
very
think
much so.
create what I
somebody who can
imagine.
take your work and turn it into something
yeah,
big and market it to a large
I'm super
group.
excited to see
That
it in
is like,
person.
that's actually amazing. We would like to.
That is a
take
major
that.
Yes.
achievement.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm super stoked.
Magical.
Brienne, were
He's
you,
our
the,
famous
were
friend.
you the customer who hired her? Was
Yeah, I was like, Amanda, I would like you
Works
to
for me.
please create for me. Honestly, I would hire Amanda in a heartbeat to do
She doesn't
any
have
kind
to.
of creative thing for me, but she just gives me all of her creative things for free.
I just put on my water bottle.
You're loved by me. You've received stickers.
Yes,
or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's a special privilege.
Yeah.
What have you been working on, Brienne?
This like recently, and this is kind of like Carissa, it's like a little bit of a constant flow in the background of my life but like with spring and summer has been my flowers.
Mm.
And I'm getting so excited. I have recently in the last couple years started flower from seed.
Oh,
So I'm
good
starting
job.
flowers inside of my house and growing them in my house until it gets warm enough outside to plant them in the flower beds or in the gardens. And I started more this year than I'd ever started before. So my husband and I made a whole new flower bed to plant these in.
Yay.
And it is blooming and everything is getting big and it looks a little wild, which is what I really wanted. And so I've been working in that.
Fine.
Then I didn't lose a single flower in the
That's a
transplant
big
so
deal.
far. So
It's
far.
a huge
Around
deal.
here,
Wind
especially.
Yes.
and anything can change that in a heartbeat.
If I do my job right, you should see a picture of this
I
flower
was just
bed.
gonna say,
Scare
you need
my
to
face.
send
Yes.
pictures.
Yes, I could take one.
And for anyone who, growing flowers is hard. It's difficult
it's-
enough just planting an established plant in the ground, but to grow it from seed, this isn't Stardew Valley. This isn't Harvest
Animal
Moon,
Planet, or no,
Animal Crossing. I wish it was that easy. It's not.
Such a mom.
I am.
It's not. Animal Planet.
I was like, and the word animal.
It is difficult to not murder plants that you try to raise
It
from
is.
seed.
Well, and I have to. I didn't lose anything in the transplant plant, but I did lose seedlings in the beginning. I
Yeah,
did lose a fair
makes
amount
sense.
at the very beginning. I would have had a lot more than I did, but it's such an adventure. And I think like the biggest thing I would say in that process that helps me creatively there is that I have to just say it doesn't matter. Like this is for fun. Like anything that comes of this, if there's flowers, it doesn't matter how many, it doesn't matter what happens. If there are flowers, it was a success.
Yeah.
Win and you
And,
get that.
you get such a high from being out in your yard and working
Yes.
and doing it.
So
Like
good.
you sent me 2 polos last night. One was just like, I am stressed about today. And the next polo, like laughably, because there was time between it. And the second one was like, I'm a new woman.
Because you've been
She
in
was
your
out.
I've been in my flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this skill like requires, yes, a green thumb and knowledge, but also you have to be a little bit of a witch. A little bit.
That makes,
Like
I like
you-
that. I accept it.
Yeah.
Do you insult the plants? Is that
Oh,
what
no,
we're talking
no,
about?
no, no.
Opposite.
Yes, you talk to those plants.
Beautiful,
They-
loving spells.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sing.
Yep. You
Singing.
lead that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
hmm Singing is spell work.
Fairy dust. Musical incantations.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I might have to start singing. I really don't sing out there.
I think
but
you probably do
Yeah.
more than you
I
think you do.
maybe mine was.
That's the only reason it's
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about the things that we feel as we go through these creative processes and why we like them. And that actually brings us to this week's topic. I've been diving into some of the science behind creativity and maybe what motivates us to do it. So my official title for this week's topic is The Molecular Reasoning Behind Our Creativity, aka got any more of them neurotransmitters? I don't know. I'm dating myself with this meme here. I'm gonna throw it up.
I don't know. I know this wasn't intentional, but the neck scratch as you said it just really like added to the got any more of them neurotransmitters?
This is really interesting. The biggest takeaway before we even start here is that I've realized that this is going to be a different situation no matter who you talk to, no matter who you look at, no matter what kind of examples we provide.
Yeah.
It's different for everybody. So the first one we're going to talk about, I think most people have probably heard of this. And I'll start because I have instantly recognized that I am a huge junkie for this neurotransmitter is dopamine. Dopamine. It is the natural high that we get, or a reward system that our brain has. So when we do the thing, we get the instant rush of excitement, pleasure, happiness. We've won something. And this is a chemical that I found that I feed on like a Minox sucks on power cables on the underside of the Millennium Falcon.
Listen, by the
I
end of
need it.
by the end of this episode, we may have just all diagnosed ourselves because this is the one that if you have to put like ADHD or ADD, you don't make a whole lot. So yes, you are literally mining for it every single day because you don't get enough of it naturally, which makes sense. I don't know. Not
that's
diagnosing you,
interesting.
but pretty sure.
Yeah.
Sounds spot on. And I've also learned that there are activities that are known as high dopamine releasers and low dopamine releasers. And the high ones are usually what ended up being treated as addictions, vices.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the biggest ones that are being talked about right now because of what they're learning about them are video games, social media,
Obviously, drugs.
gambling, drugs, any of these things that give us
Food,
these
yep.
food cue.
Yes.
And the thing that I've realized that is
And exercise.
dangerous is that if you rely too much on these things, you will not only be unable to create them naturally yourself, but once you've hit this thing and then get off of it, you crash. The scale tips the other direction. So this one has been really informative to me, but I can immediately see this from some of the creative things we do. Theater. I think the biggest indicator of a dopamine hit for me is the immediate feedback when I have accomplished a goal. If I know that I got a big funny line coming up, and if I can hear just one person in the audience, even if it's that guy that comes to all of our shows and laughs at even the stuff that isn't funny,
Yeah.
Yep.
if he does it right after my funny,
Mhm.
there's that dopamine.
Yeah, I'm good
And
to
that
go.
that is a hit
Yeah.
for me. So this one is really interesting. We'll probably come back and touch on this. We'll probably touch on most of these as we talk through the rest of today and how they all interact with each other. Carissa, since you are presumably the most medically learned among us, can you
See, I was gonna say, we're not experts, any of us, on this.
No.
And the more you try to delve into this, the more
Yeah.
it's like. So when I taught school and I taught anatomy and physiology and I taught body systems, the neuro system and the endocrine system are like.
Yeah.
Like what? Hold on, because mostly all the other body systems, they run in an A, B, C, D function fashion, and this result here, and it doesn't really change. Not much else affects it, and it's really easy to understand. The neuro system and the endocrine system are so complicated, and there's so many facets to it. It's like it could be this, could be this, it could be this, and then it could be that, and it might not. And you can spin out of control trying to understand it.
The only
So I'm
thing
like,
I'm an expert
oh.
in is my own experience.
Yes,
with
it's
the systems,
like,
and I'm
I
just
know
going to
how
project onto
I
everybody
feel.
else. This is how I feel. So it makes sense
So
that
I'm like,
you
crap.
also.
I
feel
told
this
Dana,
way.
I was like, I hope I'm not supposed to come in here being the expert, because if there's one thing I'm not an expert on, it is this system and these hormones, and because the more you try to understand, the more it's like
Right. No.
Holy cow, there's
Well,
so much to it.
Carissa was only invited to the podcast because she is a self-proclaimed expert. So
now that you've said you're not, we
Let's-
don't need you anymore.
this may be the final episode you see with Carissa.
But the one I would say that the neurotransmitter that I would personally like to introduce, because it is the reason I think that I create,
Mhm.
is oxytocin. That is the love hormone, the love neurotransmitter. It is the hormone neurotransmitter responsible for like mother baby connection, physical connection, relationship. They call it the love hormone.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about why I create what I love for my creative experiences. And I think, like I already said, I make these scrapbooks and spend hours of them because of the reaction that I get from seeing my kids.
Mhm.
Love that. And I was thinking about when I go to play practices, when do I come back feeling super happy? I come
100%
back on a
with your friends.
high. If I was with my friends, if everybody came away laughing, having a great time, the time passed like that, that to me
Yeah.
was successful.
Yes.
And I come home dumpy and in a terrible mood when stuff wasn't clicking and people weren't listening and we didn't get anywhere because people just weren't in the mood and nobody
Or I
was
felt like I was
working.
too much and I offended somebody.
Yes,
Or
and-
I was too bold and barreled through someone's suggestion. Or
That's not usually my experience. I'm like,
have you seen that meme where people are like, "Hey, how was I today? Could you rate me from a 1 to 10? Would you hang out with me again? Are we still friends?" Like you just said it to after
Yes.
every interaction.
Yes, yes.
Well, and it can vary so much. We've been part of shows where, our final cast call, everybody in the room is just bawling. And again, it gets to the point where nobody wants to be separated as this cohesive, accomplished group that has put this amazing show together. And then we've also been part of shows where it feels like I never want to see any of you again. Even though the show we put on was a good quality show, that feeling
We
of
were acting.
We were.
yes, we were. That feeling of bonding or oneness as a cast just never really hits.
Which is such a shame
Mm,
because theater is so conducive for that. So you have to be
Yeah.
actively trying or really being a butthead to,
Yeah.
to not have
To
those
not have
feelings.
those
at
Because
the
it
end.
literally puts you in a vulnerable situation, which is the best way
Yeah.
to connect.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're creating a project together, it forms these bonds.
Yeah.
Like a
Yes.
set day when we were there for hours trying to build that set together. It's so bonding.
It
Yes.
is. It is.
It's so bonding.
Yes, that was a very fun.
Some of the difficult
that
ones,
one.
they seem to revolve around people maybe bringing issues into the cast before you even start working together.
Yeah.
Mm.
We've been part of one show where we had a lot of we'll skip that. Okay.
Anyway,
Well,
so
now I kinda wanna
oxytocin.
know. We'll talk about it after.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
So oxytocin, you hit dopamine, you get that natural high. I hit oxytocin because I like the relationships.
Amanda, you strike me as a serotonin kind of
Lack
gal.
of what?
Maybe you could explain this one to the viewers. And again, this is as we interpret them. None of us are neuroscientists because we'd be making so much more money than
Is this the
anything.
one where like dopamine, yeah, you get a reaction, but serotonin is like I did it well. Like I get feedback that I did something well, that I like someone trusts me to do something going forward because I showed up in that way. Like is that
Yeah,
what
I
you're
think it
saying?
does. They
I feel
all
like it's like a regulator underneath where dopamine is like a I need a hit. I need a hit. Serotonin is like a mood regulator, a
Yeah.
sleep regulator. I feel like it's the one that gives you balance.
Okay, so then I will say this. I do have a lot of regulating behaviors. I wouldn't say I'm very good at keeping like that's something I struggle with. So I have to implement regulating behaviors throughout
Yeah.
the day, or otherwise I can get overstimulated so quickly. I feel like, and I'm not a professional. I've just talked to several therapists about this. Like my brain intake is like I'm like I've got gravity. I'm sucking stuff in all the time. And it's not like because I'm detail oriented. I'm just constantly using those details and I'm constantly moving them and organizing them and planning things. And so if there's extra sounds around me, if there's extra light or things that I don't want there that's pulling me out from that, it's like I am 0 to 60 in 0.2 seconds. That's not a great thing to admit about myself, but the serotonin, regulating things, One Grace's play therapist, my daughter has one, and she's amazing talking about mood regulators. And one of the things you can do is like heavy lifting or pushing, and so cleaning. Like if you clean your house often and a lot, scrubbing, moving, dishes, like all of that is a huge regulator as far as like movement and pressure. She's like, "Do you do a lot of cleaning?" I'm like, "Yeah." Yes,
Actually, all the time.
Actually, all the time. They said that like sucking from a water bottle, like a straw, is also a mood like regulator. You don't realize you do that very often. We do it with Grace all the time. Is like pressure work. Like if you are snuggled up in a blanket, you have tight socks on, or like the way you sleep wrapped up with a pillow, or like those types of like pressure things that you do throughout the day. So there's usually a lot of things that humans do to like recreate serotonin, or the like mood regulators that you probably aren't aware of, but if you sit down and like look at your life, it's pretty apparent that we're all crazy. Yes.
Are you doing those, like, do you have moments while you're creating where you start to like feel like it's overwhelming, and do you have to do things to bring yourself back down?
Yes. They're not like
like, because I feel like we all get a part where we're like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm done. Like I do. I'm like, okay, push it away.
I need to do something. It's like I feel like I'm always moving. So the momentum's either going forward or it's crashing back into me. So I have to do things to like get it off of me and start moving it forward again. And that looks like it changes movement, like physically. So I am not a dancer by any means at all, but I love, like, we'll put on a speaker in the house and just jam. Like me and we'll just jam to some really good freaking music. That helps like pull me out of a funk sometimes. Buying stuff. Oh my God.
Dopamine.
Yeah. That's not like a serotonin, but maybe it'll just get me up enough that I can like eventually level out. Like I need a jetpack boost at that moment to get me on the path. Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like my whole life is searching for things that are gonna help, like, healthily through life. Cause like, yeah, I shouldn't doom scroll. I shouldn't buy a bunch of stuff all the time. Sometimes though, you just need a little treat. Sometimes you just need to lock yourself in a cool. Yeah.
We train ourselves, though, I found, and the research I did shows that we condition ourselves to expect these certain levels. So there may be days where, you hear the stereotype on TV shows, don't talk to me before I've had my coffee. But
don't talk
there
to me
are,
after a
at
show.
least for me, there's things that if I have conditioned myself when I wake up, I've got to go out and I've got to ride my bike, and until I do that, it's like half of my brain isn't activated, or I can't climb out of that lower creative state of mind until I've got this checklist of things done, and it's only then that my serotonin can hit that
in an ideal
cruising
world
level and move.
Yeah, but like I feel like sometimes with littles at home, that is just, it's a gamble every day. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do those regulating behaviors. Like, I had plans for this morning, but my son was up till 1 a.m. because he was teething, and I was like, so then we got to shift and change. And
so my answer to those questions, I just ignore them and they go to their mom, but. And then I can get myself
So
done.
you're able to have a more level serotonin throughout the day because you're not constantly interrupted.
Nobody's interrupting
Yes.
his.
Oh!
Yeah. What would it be like, huh?
It's not.
What would it be like?
It's not really like that. And I help out all the time.
He does, actually. But
Okay, Brienne, do you want to talk about? It says on your LinkedIn page that you are an expert in this subject too.
I literally, when you started asking people, like when you turned to Chris, I was like, maybe he's just gonna only ask Chris.
Grant's like, I don't have any neurotransmitters. You caught me off guard. No brain.
I'm literally like, it's not even there. It's mush. It's mush inside.
This one for me was this one's probably the hardest one for me to wrap my head around.
Is endorphins.
But endorphins, the way I understood them, and maybe if you're familiar with them, is that they are almost retroactive in the way that they help us mask and forget unpleasant or painful situations.
Well, I feel like the endorphins is when you go into like fight or flight. It's not like a prefrontal cortex moment. You're not thinking through that. That's just like, it's like they say before the plane crashes, your body just floods you with endorphins, so you don't feel anything before, when you pass, because you're about to just. That was a morbid way to go, but
still,
yeah.
You've all thought about it. I do every time I fly.
Thank goodness. Thank you, body.
Haven't we all gotten injured at play practice or in the middle of a show?
What, you don't
And
drive
you
down
have
the
to just keep
freeway
going?
and imagine the
Or,
semi crashing
you know
into
what?
you at any moment, and you're just like,
No, but now you say that. You say that about, those moments like getting injured in a show or something like that. Like
You just
I made a massive mistake in a show performance in the show we just did. And my endorphins, obviously, I didn't know,
Kicked
but
into
they
fight or
had
flight,
to kick
huh?
in because I had to take action in that moment. I couldn't.
And
There
you
was no
feel
other
the fight
option.
or flight response.
Oh, yeah, you do. And it's crazy in that moment how time slows down. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like all of a sudden I've been standing on this stage making this mistake for 15 minutes.
And everybody's watching.
Yes, and I have like completely taken in everyone's facial response. As I panickedly turned to my fellow cast members.
The audience has their binoculars out, analyzing your face.
Guys, I will see Tennille's face in that moment forever because she was so in the moment of the show still, but I could see it in her eyes, like, you got this, man. Like, it
You're
was
messing up all the words.
Yes, you
but
don't.
You can save it.
Nobody's sure what's happening or what mistake you've
But
made.
it's up to
but
you.
We got this. We're here behind you. And yeah, in that moment, everything does. It slows down, and I will say, for half a second, my flight instinct wanted to kick in, and
Just
I wanted
run.
to bolt from that stage.
Mhm.
But then it was like my feet were solid, and I had to just do something, and so I just did. And
Just
then
did
that,
It was so
people who
good.
didn't know the show had zero idea what was
Oh.
happening. She took one part of the verse, did it first, and so then she took that part she was supposed to sing and put it in here and made it work. Like it was.
I couldn't even hear the music anymore. I don't
My
even
brain
know what I was. It was literally like my brain went into autopilot and was like, just give this a go. Like,
My favorite part was when you said, "I'm so sorry, you guys," but we all just took it in character.
and I just
was
went,
like,
because I missed the song. I don't even know what I said, but I pulled it in.
"Yeah."
That
I
was
was
my
like,
that was
"Is
my
she
flight moment.
apologizing to us for messing up?" No, she made that like a, "Oh, she misses her home." Oh my gosh,
That was my flight moment. That was the one
was
instant
so
where I
good.
was like, I'm bolting from the stage. Apologies to all. And then
it was. You did so good.
you guys are good
So
friends.
great.
Brienne was 98% endorphins if you were to analyze her body at that moment.
Probably
I
true.
was standing off stage when this happened, and I heard everybody start to react when they heard the point when you hit that mental block, and everybody just froze and they looked at each other and said, "Oh my heck, I think she may have messed up."
Yeah.
But then almost
Because they
just
don't know.
instantly,
They'll be like, "Did she mess up?" We
everybody
don't know.
was like, "That was amazing!
Yeah,
she
got
totally
it.
pulled it out."
Get through, yeah.
It was.
Mhm.
I just walked off and was like, well, that's the end of the show. Get into
That's all I got.
character to play that role.
Were you shaky after?
Actually,
Like, did you
I
come down off it and like?
I don't think I was shaky after, but I was emotional.
Were you able to go to sleep at all that night?
I had to do this really weird ritual where I washed that performance off of me. That sounded creepy.
No, it's not.
Like,
We
I
all
gonna
do
wash
weird
that
things.
man. Yes, it was. I'm gonna wash that man right out
Yep.
of here. It
Yeah.
was a lot like that. I got home and I was like, all right, we're gonna get cleaned up and we're gonna wash this show off. And when it goes down the drain, that performance is gone forever. And that's the endorphins probably. They were
Yeah.
like, forget
you
it
forget.
for the rest of
Forget.
your life.
Yeah.
And even in this moment, I hate that it happened, but I'm like, no.
And were you still excited to go back the next day?
I was excited to go back and perform again because I worked my tail off to make sure I wouldn't make that mistake again.
Yeah.
That is a healthy response. Some people turn to alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Brienne did not do that. We should all be like Brienne.
Sponsored by Dare.
I had a moment in a show once. Something similar happened. It was like the third run that we were in.
Yes.
It was a scene that I felt totally confident about.
Yes.
I was over prepared to the point where you barely even have to think about it.
Mhm.
And we get to this moment of dialogue right as the music is coming in, and there was a line that I was supposed to say somewhat in rhythm with the music, so then the scene could start after. And I stood there to deliver my line, and it was just crickets in my head, just absolutely nothing.
Yes.
And I was looking at the actress on stage, and then she just looked at me with this look on her face like,
Say your thing.
anytime. And then I jumped to some other line, and that's that panic mode that you described.
Yes.
I-
Your brain
Immediately
scrambling through
feel
the
it.
file
Yeah.
cabinet.
Yeah.
and we
Somebody took a potty break upstairs.
Real.
we were able to reorient ourselves pretty quickly, and it all turned out okay. And then after the scene, we were both off stage, and I went over to her and I said, that scene, and I was about to apologize for it, and she said, I messed up the line right before yours. I think that threw you off. I'm so sorry about that.
And you're like,
And I
yes, that
said,
was it.
That's okay.
Everybody makes mistakes.
I never confess it was totally my fault. So
I think though, like that
maybe,
brings up
sorry.
a good point though. Like whenever you're performing live, there like your state level anxiety, it's good to have it at a certain point. There's like this sweet spot of like I'm nervous, and so all of my faculties are on and arrived.
My
versus
oxygen is pumping.
we're going,
I'm
we're
all
thinking,
fed.
we're there. Versus when you get really confident and lackadaisical, your brain, you think you're on autopilot, but then your brain is like, oh wait, what? And then you're like,
And see,
Which
that's
is
exactly
interesting.
that's
If
exactly
she
what
really did
happened.
mess up,
Yeah,
your autopilot.
your
brain
autopilot
went.
didn't know what was next.
you're like,
I don't think she messed up. I think it was totally my fault.
But I really
It's
like
possible,
love
for
and
sure.
appreciate hearing you say that about how it was like you knew it so backwards and forwards, because that's how I felt when I got off stage. I was like, I've been rehearsing that song for months, like,
And I know
I
it
know
perfectly.
it. I've never made that mistake before,
Yeah.
but it was because up until that point I'd always had that level of awareness of what I was doing, versus when you just go into the flow of it.
And that actually, I believe that is one of the moments where I realized that I introduced this new kind of ritual or superstitious thing before I go on stage now. Is I try to isolate myself where nobody else is, and I'm talking 15 minutes before the show starts.
Yes.
And I probably look like I've gone into some kind of like fugue state or something, like my spirit has left my body. But I'll literally just go stand in a corner and just be in the dark and just go over every single line of the
visualize
show
it
in my head.
That's
that exact moment.
Yes.
Whenever I have like a big piece, and you'll find this is so like tree huggy psyche weird, but I will visualize a song. So like I will sit and I will like visualize myself doing really well, and on spots where I'm not prepared enough, my brain will go and I won't be able to get through it. Like I will, and I know that's a spot I have to practice. Like, but if I can visualize it successfully, I'm good. I can walk out there and I'm like, okay, we'll nail it. But if there are spots where my brain is still like, and I can't get through it visualizing it, I know I've got to go back and do those spots. But visualizing is
That's
such a
interesting.
powerful practice. Such a powerful practice.
Love that.
I've probably been a little bit offensive to people too when they've come to try to talk to me about things not related to the show, because I'm sure my pupils are like dilated like a shark, so they just like trying to stare at them. So I'm
He's like, not
here.
right now. I'm
What
not
can you
dead.
do physically? Because I've done it with headphones. People still talk to you. I'm like, what can I do? Can I just like?
How do I let people know?
No, because then you're
They're
gonna
like, "Are you
I'm gonna be
okay?"
that's when I'm gonna be like, Amanda, what's happening? What's wrong? If Dane is standing in a corner, I'm gonna be like, I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna give him some space. So I think standing in a corner is a good move.
That is a good.
There was one show where we had a bed as a prop, and I would just go lay in the bed, and I would like put the blankets over me and just lay there and conceal myself. Have some
What's
alone
he
time.
doing?
That's incredible.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That kind of made me think of how was it you that asked the question? What gets in the way of your neurotransmitter releases? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Or is it
Oh.
neurological? What do you find hampers or dampens your creativity?
Mm.
Is it being exhausted physically? Is it mental exhaustion?
I
Like
think-
what gets in your way?
I was actually reading up on Brene Brown has some really fascinating studies on creativity and how it's like a vulnerable act and how it's something we'll like shove off where you tell kids to knock it off because it can come across annoying, it can come across loud, it can come across crazy or too chaotic. So as adults, we're just like, no, I don't have time for that kind of stuff. But she was saying that like creativity isn't something that just like goes away, it metastasizes. And if you're not doing creativity in some sort of way, it comes out as grief, as guilt, as judgment, as these really icky feelings, because we need to create, we're divine beings. She agreed with that. It's like
That's
we need to do it. But on that same line, there was a point. I was circling back.
Oh, what blocks our creativity? Like what
Yeah.
blocks our neurotransmitters?
Emotional, physical, or neurological.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was halfway there.
You made it really cool.
It sounds like Amanda just experienced her own block
Just
in some
now,
of her
everyday
neurotransmitters.
life.
One of the things that you touched on earlier that is absolutely applicable to me is I hit a physical level of burnout, and it's usually by the end of the day if I've been engaged in something. And our kids are great. We got great kids. They're very creative, probably more so than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some talkers. and they just talk, and they have these stories they want to tell, and they only get in this mood when it's like 9 o'clock.
What?
And they just start talking, and in my mind it starts to just lose all coherence, and it just becomes noise. It's like that scene on the Christmas Story when he's up and he sits on Santa Claus's lap, and he's like,
Oh,
"You'll shoot
yes.
your eye out, kid," and he starts to lose his mind and go all trippy, and the camera goes to that fisheye lens, and the elf is like, "Ho, ho," and it's like these invasive moments of this horrible emotion as his world is reeling. That's what it starts to feel like. It just feels like the walls are closing in, the noise is just
Yes.
barraging me, and at that point I'm like, I'm done. I'm toast.
We call that red zone in my house. I have a name
Red
for it.
zone.
Because I'm like, mom's brain is in red zone, so it's not you. That for me is questions. Because my brain doesn't know to filter out questions. It hears a question and it full break.
It's like, oh,
I have to answer this. So I feel like I'm going 70 miles an hour break, 70 miles an hour break, and the whiplash is making me so angry. So I have to be like, okay, we've asked a lot of questions. Mom's brain is in the red zone, so let's just answer one and we'll take it slow. But everyone's got questions. They come home from school or from work,
Yes.
and I am this epicenter of the home, which is great, and I love it. But I'm like, we reached our limit.
no, my.
Go ask your dad or put it in the comment box. Like, I can't. I'll address it
So
later.
do you have to have a quiet, regulated space to feel like you can be creative? Like, do you need a kind of controlled environment to feel like you can creatively
certain
do your
things.
best
When
work?
I'm doing this stuff, yes.
Mhm.
When I'm doing like on the iPad and I have to like zone in and work, I cannot be interrupted a bunch of times. So I have to
Shut
wait
the
till they're
door.
in bed or Justin will be home with the kids. Yeah. Yeah. But in other things, with theater and us, it's chaotic. There's loud noises. We're gabbing. We're talking.
Yeah.
Production, like we're getting stuff done, and then
Yeah.
most of it's socializing. Then we're getting a little bit of stuff done, and
There's a level of expectation you have to set in your brain before you jump into any of these activities.
Yeah.
Like you know that when you go to the theater, you have to just basically leave all your emotional baggage at home because you will not get that time alone that you
No.
might need
No.
to deal with it.
No.
There will always be that kid that comes up and starts suggesting his brilliantly humorous moments to the scene that we should add into the play. It's like, no, we're not going to put a fart joke in here. Not right there. Can't happen.
we already have one.
We are a one fart joke limit show. All right.
But that's it. And it's interesting to talk about that and about how, like, depending on how you're creating, you'll facilitate a different environment for it, right?
Mm.
Because I don't think with theater you can create the way you do unless it is a little bit chaotic and a little bit.
I have to have people's
Yes.
input.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I can have an idea and then we'll show it to you or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
what if you did this or we did it? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, that's way better.
So it just makes me think what's happening differently with our neurotransmitters in
Yeah,
those different
that
settings.
Mhm.
I don't have an answer. It's just
that's
interesting
what's
to consider.
fascinating about it, because it's like, are these responsible for all of our emotions and all of our responses? Is that why we feel? Is it
Yeah.
all a combination of these? And it's sometimes
it's
they're
something
here
we
and
build
here.
brick by
Yeah.
brick.
So
throughout our life.
sometimes you
Our
can do it really
experiences.
well one day because you're firing on all cylinders and they are all at the appropriate levels and you got enough sleep and you ate the right amount of foods. But then sometimes you go to practice and everything went wrong that day and you got stuck by a train and you couldn't make it, you got there late and you still were managing to create something awesome. It's so crazy to me.
One of
'Cause
the
sometimes nothing lines up right and you still come away and like, wow, that was surprisingly creative. And
Yeah.
I was surprisingly firing on all cylinders, even
Okay,
though
yeah.
everything was stacked against me today. I
Yes,
should have been a
really.
melted
Yeah.
ball in a corner.
Yeah.
one of the things that
Interesting.
I observed as I was researching this is a lot of these neurotransmitters, the emotions they create or the feelings they create on us are almost what's the word I'm looking for? They not infectious.
Oh,
Contagious?
contagious.
They are contagious with the other people on the stage or the audience. And
Mm.
you can tell this when you're looking at someone who's evoking real emotion on stage.
Mhm.
I think it's very clear as an audience member or
Yeah.
another cast member that this person, even though they may not be feeling these emotions as their character, they're drawing on real
Real.
emotions
Yeah.
to convey
Yeah.
that message.
Mhm.
And that is real. And when you can see anyone respond in that same way that you're trying to
Yeah.
create as a character, that is major validation. And those are the moments that you get that dopamine hit, you get the serotonin that boosts your mood. That's when you feel like you're on fire as a
Like, I did
character.
so good.
And it's all based on these emotions that we all have and we all need. And I think that in essence is what theater is. We want to go there and we want to feel something.
Yeah.
We want to hear a story and we want to look at life through a different person's lens or perspective.
Mhm.
And we want to feel what that character is feeling.
Yes.
And when we do, major win.
Yeah.
That brings up a good point too. We were talking about this a little bit in the chat of like, do you in your creative process, is that enough for you to have that creative process and that be enough, or do you also part of that seek the validation of others, whether it's your kids when they open your
I'm a
scrapbooks,
validation.
your
seeker.
neighbors when they see your flowers, or
Yeah.
my friends when I show them my thing? Like, is it, I think there's always a part of that. There's nothing wrong with it, I'm not saying it, but like how much of that is like
Intertwined.
with those good feelings you get from
Mhm.
your creative
Yes.
process?
Yes.
I 100% need it.
Hands down.
Guilty as charged.
I'm a validation.
Guilty as
seeker.
charged.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be something that is overly blatant or obvious, but if it's something, and I admit right now, Chris, I've done this to you. When I've painted some of my minis and I'm especially proud of a particular area of shading I've done.
You just kind of like
Or-
prep the compliment.
Or well,
Like,
I
if you
will
notice right
sometimes
now-
do that, but I'll show it to her, not because she couldn't care less about the lore or the characters or whatever. That's fine, but the actual artistry that I put into the paint. If she can point out something on her own accord that I worked extra hard on,
Mm.
it's
Fist bump in the
It's
air.
going on the fridge.
Yep. And that I will
This is
feed
level.
on that validation for days and days and days.
And you'll
Feels
look
so
lovingly at that. You'll look
Yes.
lovingly at that
You're like,
thing
this
that
is
you
my
did
new
and be like,
favorite.
there it is.
That's my new
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is applicable for me in any kind of creative process that I do. It's I really try to not go fishing for compliments on anything because it starts to feel disingenuous if you have to do that. But if the smallest little word of appreciation or mention of something I've done, that is manna to my soul.
It can almost like change trajectory. I think even as, like at kids, like if you give them enough of that validation in their creativity, or like, you know, you're really like pointing about it as far as, you know, even as adults, like, whoa, that meant something to me, maybe. And,
Yes.
you know, like that's, yeah.
But I think the important distinction of that, this is like child development.
Yeah.
But like an important
Put on your
distinction of
hat.
that is that it's like the most building thing is to give a specific thing. So
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
wow, you're shading right there. The minute you say to a kid, I like it, all they're looking for then is that other people have to like it.
Mhm.
They're not growing or improving in any way just because you liked it.
It's just
And you think about the
generalized.
compliments that you received that fed you.
Yeah.
It wasn't that somebody went, I liked your performance in that show.
Yeah.
It was like
Because
the
everybody
way
says
that you grabbed that person and you pulled their head back and you gave them the vial of sleeping draught. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That means so much more when somebody gives you such a specific compliment
Yep.
because it shows that they see the work that you did and they appreciate it.
Yes.
It's a very valuable point. It makes a big difference when you're trying to give anyone, whether it's good or positive feedback too.
Yeah.
That's super valuable as a creative person to hear those specific things.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that is one of the reasons that I like working with each of you individually. I would say every one of you is super good at specific critique and specific compliments. And it makes working with you guys so enjoyable because I'm a words of affirmation person.
Same.
Oh my gosh, it fills my bucket all day long.
Yes.
And you're one of the most positive people I know, always.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you two function in the same way that you can give a critique
Yes.
to fix something, but you manage to deliver it inside of my favorite dessert.
Yes.
don't know
that's
how
such a
you
good
do
way
it,
to say that.
But you guys' critiques come in the most delicious thing, and I'm like, I want to eat that,
Yes.
and it feels good when I eat that, and then I fix what I did wrong. I actually think I did better.
Yeah.
Like, and it makes
Krista just describe manipulation.
But it just like
No. Listen, Amanda and I,
But
we
you deliver it so you don't crush a soul.
Yes.
Because, like, I don't know, like in order for a performer to get a high off of, like, they tell you just get used to people telling you you're bad, get used to people telling you no. Like they make it sound like in order to do well in a creative realm, you better get used to getting your heart.
Yeah,
stomped
that's a
on.
big fat lie.
I'm
That's a
like,
big fat
that
lie.
actually burns out my desire to do anything if somebody keeps crushing me
That's
and crushing
elitist
me.
gatekeeping, and I hate it.
I have to be built up, and you should be doing that with the people
Yes.
you work with.
Especially by the time you're in a point where the cast has already been decided, you're actually working on scenes. It's not going to do any good just to
No.
bring people down. You
No.
want to make the show as good as it can be. So sometimes you got to take the ringworm medicine and put in a nice juicy hot dog to feed to that dog. So you eat the medicine, so you can get them to try to improve in an area where otherwise, if you just insult. And
But it's operated from a place of love. It's
Exactly.
not like a fake
'Cause you
thing
want
that we
them to do well.
Yes.
Like, I love you. I see what you're doing. I see that you're
The
trying really
potential's
hard. If you
there.
adjust this one thing, I think you're going to reach what you're trying to accomplish. So it's like I'm your teammate. I just see
Yes.
something
Yes.
that I wouldn't see either if I were up there doing it,
Mhm.
And that's one of my biggest motivators from these neurological standpoints is that if I look back on a show, my biggest indicator of whether it was a success or not is if the people that were in it enjoyed it and they want to
Me
come back
too.
and do more.
Yeah.
I have my own feelings about my own performances and how I did in scenes or whatever, but if everybody can feel like it was a great experience for them, that's number one priority.
And they're
for me.
excited to come back and work again.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I was thinking too about coming into creativity, like how you were saying at play practice, you need a lot of feedback, but also I can't create very well in a big group setting if I'm expected to be the one to come and create a big group scene
Mm-hmm.
and blocking. I need a lot of feedback too, but I will get really overwhelmed and want to go sit in a corner really fast if I haven't created myself a basic skeleton.
Oh,
So I
yeah,
have to have,
preparation.
yes. For
Oh.
me, in order to be really creative, I have had to have some quiet me time
mm-hmm.
where nobody bothered me. And I looked over what I was going to do. I listened to the music 1,000 times. I
Yes.
had all of my puzzle pieces sitting out on the board. And I planned out that this group would come from here and this group would come from here.
The cake
I
is
have
baked.
to
We are
create-
icing. The cake is baked.
Yep. I
We're
have
here.
to create a map. And then it feels so fun to have that map. So there's some like basic instructions. So it's not chaos because
No.
especially when you work with big group of kids, you cannot come in unprepared.
Also, if
They
you
will
sh-
eat you
yeah,
alive.
if you show up unprepared, they can smell it.
They smell
and
it.
they'll start to be like, actually, we're supposed to do this here. Like, I know, Tiffany, sit down. I'm going through all the other options.
Chuck.
It's not helpful. Like,
Tiffany is Chuck's sister,
Yeah.
by the way.
They're
But-
siblings.
but you have to, like, yes, come with the basic skeleton.
Yes.
So you, and I think you do this really well too. Like in that creative moment, it's creative because you're the leader. You're the leader.
Like,
You're the
gotta
one
have a plan.
doing it, and you are asking us for input and things like that. But we're not coming at you like, well, my idea is I'm the leader. Yes,
Yeah.
this is what we're
Yeah.
doing. No, Chris is the leader. Here's options, Carissa.
Sometimes
you
I
like?
do have a problem though. If I put the work in my brain and I was in charge and I have a plan, I have a really hard time when other people start shifting the plan.
We have had
It
this
takes
happen.
me a second.
multiple
Sometimes
times.
it's a good idea, but you're gonna need to let me sit with that for a second.
Yeah,
If you
I've got
come
to
out and want it
reroute
now,
all the stuff that I just paid. Yeah,
yes, I'm like no.
not that your idea is bad.
Yes,
just give me.
but I already had a plan for that creativity,
Yes.
and you're
I already had the scene totally visually built in my head. So let me break down set just for a sec,
just a
and we
second.
will. Yeah, it takes a minute.
Yeah.
Gotta reroute.
Yes, big time.
But it is really fun when somebody comes with a piece that really beautifies one section you haven't seen. And I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for thinking of it and saying that.
Like I would
It's
say,
fun.
the
Feels
one
collaborative.
scene, there was a scene in our last show that we did where the jester's yelling at Harry as he's taking the minstrel out of the kingdom. And you'd think, okay, well, we could just drag him out by his shirt. That's kind of funny. That's physical humor. I think Dane recommended a wheelbarrow. And I was like, shh, everyone shut up. Let me just say this for a second. And the wheelbarrow became its own side
It's, like,
character.
iconic.
And because the wheelbarrow came in and caused enough chaos, there was different motivations that were all clashing together. And this scene that could have just been him dragging him out of the kingdom
And could have been sort of
ended up being like one of the show's
Hysterical.
favorite scenes. People were like trying to come out late so they could watch it because it
Well,
was so funny.
And another element of that, and I don't know who suggested it, was to have his wrists and his ankles
Bound.
tied.
Yes.
I don't know who suggested it. Was that you too,
I
Dane?
can't remember.
I don't
It was
remember.
it's a community effort.
But
The wheelbarrow
that
came
too.
in and we were like, oh my
Because
god.
then he
Yes.
fell. He fall out of the wheelbarrow,
Yes.
and
As
then
his
the
hog
comedic
tied,
humor of how he has to move.
Yeah.
You know,
And it was one small detail too, because when he was in the wheelbarrow at first, he was facing away because we thought that was safer. And I was like, we gotta flip him around. So he's looking at Harry. And then Harry had these moments where he'd like loom over him, and then he would do it again when he was on the ground. He'd like bend over him and talk to him. And Alex is such a big guy. Like it was so funny, the physical humor of all
Yes.
of that. Because of a wheelbarrow.
That scene is one of the counterpoints to what you said coming with a skeleton. Because sometimes when I'm preparing for a scene, I can read through the script and I've got nothing. I can't visualize anything that's happening. And it's only when we get our characters blocked and set in the scene and we start to see it play out that my mind's like, hey, wouldn't that be funny here if she slapped his face or something?
Yeah.
And you can see what our personal cast looks like. And then the ideas
Yes.
start popping off.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where my mind likes to work.
I think there's
You do
certain
good
moments where like a
impromptu.
writer's table is conducive to that scene, whereas like we need a director to come in and have a
Yes.
skeleton so all these moving parts will work. Versus like one small scene and a huge 200 kids on
It's
stage.
what makes that group collaboration so fun is having people who have strengths in these different areas. Because
Yeah.
some people's impromptu humor, I mean, like you just said, there's always those people that love to give their ideas, and they are always like, oh, how do I gently thank you? And here's a cookie. And some people's impromptu ideas are hysterical every time. It's like, how do you see that? I could spend hours and I'll never see that. And you come up with the funniest impromptu ideas. But they're not like,
That's the power
I
of
feel
all
like
those
we
different
work
angles.
well together because he's not quite as into the let me sit down and prep for 6 hours ahead of time.
Mm.
He would rather just show up never having looked at things. We took an approach like that at school. I would spend hours to study for a test and he'd get almost the same grade with none preparation. His brain can fire on impromptu.
Smash Bros.
I
ain't
need
gonna play
preparation in
itself,
the
Chris.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
priority.
Yeah. There's certain things though, if you're well versed on them, you almost do better. Like one example, like primary music time. Like that's something you could call me the night before. I'm like,
and
yes,
you
I
would
could
nail
do it.
it.
And then we could go and I could do that all day. That's not something I have to prep for or work for. And my mom, and she's fine with me saying this because she got called as primary chorister and she's like, why I don't have experience in music, but she's a rallier. She's a good, like, she
Get
gathers
people
kids.
excited.
But the music side of it, she would spend weeks preparing each lesson at stress because
because that's not in her tool belt.
yeah.
She doesn't-
So I think depending on what topic you're going for, there's certain things that I'm like if I do a piano solo in front of people, block off my next 2 months. I'm not doing anything else but sitting in the dungeon in my basement and practicing. That is my nightmare.
Yeah.
My nightmare. So everyone has their thing.
It's true.
We have talked a lot about neurotransmitters. Please don't ask us any questions about them because we will not be responsible for whether you end up getting medicated or not after our advice. We do, however, have some listener questions from our last episode. And that's very exciting. We appreciate that. Please let us know in the comments anything you'd like to ask, see brought up on the show. But here are some questions that were sent in. What is a place that you try to bring humor into your life?
Everywhere.
Parenting. Parenting. Instead of screaming, let's break out into belt or song. Instead of losing my cool, let's just sing Defying Gravity and catch everybody off guard. Because that's a funnier avenue
That's
and
true.
more conducive
That's
than
true.
losing my cool.
I like to bring humor into my work life. I work
Yeah.
as a system engineer. I work remotely. So we have to get in a lot of meetings and they all usually revolve around very mundane topics concerning Linux operating systems and firewalls. So any of those moments where I can kind of break the office-like feeling of the Zoom, inject some humor in there is, I think, a huge one. Because everybody's guards get let down a little bit. You can be a bit more personal with people. And it makes what is otherwise a very boring task funner.
Yeah.
Work's a good place. Parenting's a good place. I would just say yes to
Have you
those.
guys ever done this? And you can please be honest. When you had to clean the kitchen or do a chore you really don't want to do, you put on a pretend TV show.
I do bring humor into those moments. I don't know if I'm not a friend.
Pretend TV show. Here we go. We're gonna clean my kitchen today, and we're gonna make it really fun. And not when my husband's home, because that would look legit crazy. But when my kids are, they're like, "Who are you talking to?" I was like, "Whoever I want." Sometimes you gotta get through a chore. I'm gonna show you how to fold this shirt today.
That's actually a really good idea.
I bet your husband joins right in and starts to role play as well.
He's like, wow, Amanda, the way you're folding these today is really incredible. Let's do a little bit of a
so
tutorial.
him. Yeah.
Super fitting. I also think a place that sometimes I bring humor in, and it's not always appropriate, but like tense situations, like
Just tense.
Oh yeah, like
whenever I go camping. No, but like when something starts to feel like a little tense.
Yeah.
And it's maybe not a moment where I want there to be tension. I will do or say something stupid.
Look at me, I got my underwear over
Yeah.
my clothes.
I'm a WWE fighter.
Please let me.
I think I have like a, I don't know, that's an inborn thing in me of like, let's all not do that actually. So, so that's a place where it's probably inappropriate, but at times that's what I'm
Sometimes it's necessary.
I don't think so.
It's a good spot for it, I think.
What about you?
Well, just what you guys said. I would agree with those. Yeah.
What is
Thought that was interesting. Yeah.
do you use humor to connect with others, or do you hide behind it? The answer for me is a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think that if there's a person that I don't immediately have a rapport with, or I don't really understand what makes them work, I'll try to inject little dry, sarcastic, safe humor to see how they react, and it's my way to kind of gauge maybe how they look at life, if it's similar to mine or if it's a little bit different. It helps me kind of get my mold or take on what a person's personality might be. And also, as far as hiding behind it, I feel like there's a lot of social circles I've been in where I may have inadvertently established myself as a certain thing, and some of those have been like the
do that thing.
the goofball. Oh yeah, no.
Which makes him want to pull away from social situations if he's like, I'm not in the mood to be funny guy today.
Oh,
And when you feel like that's the expectation.
Yes,
you don't even want to know.
That feeling, I really dislike that feeling.
Yeah.
If I feel like I've been identified as that type of person, and now B, am expected to always be that person around these groups of people, that's really trouble. I don't like that.
I don't like that either. It's like they caught you on a really comedic like night, and it was jiving, and you were feeling funny, and everyone was laughing. But then the next hangout, you're not feeling that way, and you're like, I'm sick. And the illness is that I'm not funny tonight. I've come down with seriousness.
Not funnyitis.
Yes. I feel like I've had that same experience.
And then they'll call you out on it if you're not in that funny flow state.
You're not feeling it today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Or almost worse, like, is when they're like, oh my gosh, Amanda is so funny, and you're like, oh no, it's not, tonight's not the night, like that.
Do the thing.
Yes.
Are you mad at me?
Oh.
No, I'm just mad at a situation.
I am low on all the neurotransmitters today.
Yeah.
I'm feeling dumpy.
I'm feeling dumpy.
I'm just dumpy today.
I think within a friend group, that's really good too. Like, we were joking about how you and I didn't go to the 4th of July party, not because we don't love our friends, but like, I was like, I was out of all of this, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my friends would know that, so I don't have to lie and be like, I'm unwell.
Yes.
I am sick.
I promise if I ever said I was sick and I couldn't come, I was probably really sick.
But it was that group of friends where I could tell Justin, or I texted Brianna, I was like, I'm just people without you. She's like, got it, love you, see you the next thing. So.
Yeah,
Same.
she bailed me out. My grandma had died.
Yeah, he'd been at a funeral day with family.
Oh, I thought it was a bit. I was waiting to see where else was going.
Got her. I like to use humor sometimes in inappropriate situations too.
Yes.
One of my favorite things to do is when someone brings up conversations about my mom or dad, and I'll just deadpan serious say, cancer killed my mom. And I'll let it sit there for an uncomfortably long time.
Physically hurt. Like, someone does your mom joke, be like, she's actually dead.
Yeah, yes. And I will make them suffer before I start laughing.
Steph
My
is the
parents
queen at
wouldn't
that.
care. They would love
yes,
it. They love
Steph
it.
is the queen at that.
Yeah,
Oh my
she
gosh.
I'd stand if I could.
Okay,
And if you don't, it's great. It's great.
The final and possibly most difficult question that was sent in.
Oh.
Who do we think is the funniest
Oh,
person
no.
of the group?
That's such a hard question.
And subjective.
Possible.
And subjective.
Yes.
I'm not answering this. I'm not touching this with a 30-foot pole.
How about I know it's not me? Can I say that?
Can I say the person who's made me laugh the most in my life? Because that's probably Amanda. She's got years.
I know, and I was
on
like,
stage,
and
so-
Dane makes me laugh the most. As I've
Although I
known
make
him the
myself laugh
longest.
at
I'm easy laugh, so it's not really. I'm not a good gauge or a person of of judgment.
I know, I love all the things.
I do.
Okay, the answer is that I'm the
All of
funniest.
it.
We're gonna let you
Only
have
boy.
it because your mom's dead.
And, it's-
Oh, yeah, there you go.
and my dad, and my grandma, and my grandpa, and my
And
other
his
grandma and
brother.
grandpa. No, if you could only see the things that I come up with in my head. No, I am. I'm dandy orphan Dane right now. I have no parental figures in my life.
Dane, I take it back. We can't use humor in uncomfortable situations anymore. It's not allowed.
Can. Yes, we can, and yes, we will.
Just kidding. We need it. It's important.
It's valid.
No, if you could see the twisted fantasies that I come up with in my head, you would also.
You would also feel like I was the funniest person.
I've probably shared 5% of what I've come up with.
It's
in my
so
head with
it's so on point and so Dane to vote himself the funniest person of the
It
group.
really
so
is.
like we're gonna let it.
And
go.
really- if we're gonna let it
Dane
be,
is hilarious.
okay.
Like
He is.
Dane has made us laugh many a times.
That is why I have this special medallion on my shirt called the. I don't know what
He
that
can't read
word
upside
is.
down.
It's the
Fastidious directing wing.
Funniest
The
guy, but
fastidious
really
directing
awful at
whiz.
reading.
He's
He's
happy.
When
learning.
it's upside down.
Yeah.
He's learning.
So if you want to know any more about what I'm the best at in the group, or any other questions, leave them in the comments below, and we will answer them and bring them out of the show. We're so glad you were with us today. We will see you next time.
Bye.